Guys, I'm teaming up with my good friend, retired Navy SEAL Jocko for something real special. Jocko started Jocko Fuel when he found out the supplements he was buying for himself and his family were filled with heavy metals and ingredients he was unaware of. He wanted a line of supplements and consumables that had all of the good, effective ingredients and none of the bad. So we made it happen. I got set up with all of the key products, and we want to do the same for you. Jocko Go energy drinks for clean, sustainable energy. Jocko Milk Protein for 30 grams of delicious grass-fed protein, plus a full line of supplements to support mood, focus, hydration, joints, and more. Jocko Fuel supplements are scientifically formulated and made with ingredients that are clinically tested. They are better for you options with no artificial flavors or sweeteners, no added sugar, and no gray area ingredients or banned substances. It's clean fuel with health compromise. And right now, you can get 20% off when you use code Chael at jockofuel.com. Or if it's easier, just click on the link below. I'm not overly pleased with Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan did one of the very few things that will get you on the wrong side of Uncle Chael, but you will never know what that is. And why? Because I'm going to bury it. And why am I burying it? Because I was the best man at one of his coach's weddings. Coach Daryl Christian is working with Arman. I did not know that. I know that now. Which means Arman Tsarukyan, from this moment forward, will operate under the protection of Uncle Chael. And it's very difficult to tell you how good Tsarukyan looked without first conceding I have been wrong as it pertains to Charles Oliveira. I've watched so many Charles's fights. I've been on the same card as Charles before. I have never watched Charles cage side. And it's different. He's awesome. Oh my goodness, Charles Oliveira is awesome. Charles Oliveira, okay, so let's just rework this, because the one guy that doesn't believe in Charles to the highest extent is Charles. Now stay with me on that, and I know I've been blowing this horn for a while, but Charles has made it very clear he didn't want to fight Islam. His coach made it clear they didn't want to fight Islam. They want big fights, big opportunities. They have one in mind. It's the return of Conor McGregor. But whatever it was, and whatever their idea was very clearly not Islam. And when I look at it, how well I think Benny Darush would have done with Islam, I really think Benny was the guy. And then I watched Charles go right over Benny. Or Tsarukyan, who not only would do well with Islam, he's already done it. He walked in. Did you guys know this? Tsarukyan's debut was against Islam. Did you guys know that? Because I did not. Well, here, let me reword that. I did know Tsarukyan debuted on short notice against Islam and gave him a hell of a match. I did know that. Got fight of the night. I did know that. What I didn't know is it was a main event and they went 5 rounds. I didn't know anybody debuted in the UFC and went 5-round main events. So when I watched how close Charles was to beating Tsarukyan, I used the same example of Charles going through Darush. And I tie that in that Charles doesn't want to fight Islam. That's fine. That's fine, guys. You don't want to fight Islam either. We can still be friends. What I'm suggesting for you is he just might be the guy to beat Islam. That is the part of the story that I did not know. I did not know how good he was. Many people think he beat Tsarukyan. Do you? Now, I felt, in all fairness, it was very clear 2-1. But they were 2 exciting rounds. Tsarukyan had to come out of his droops one time to get out of the guillotine. And I'm cage side. Tsarukyan's droops are coming off. And he's pushing to get out of this guillotine, and Charles is on top of the almighty wrestler. I mean, these guys were all over the place. Tsarukyan ultimately was offered the fight with Islam, and he turned it down. And that's the part that I told you. That's the part that will get you on the wrong side of me, and you'll never come off it. I believed that Tsarukyan was a wrestler. And he wrestles very well. But his match with Islam had a lot of wrestling scrambles and exchanges. It gave Islam some real fits. Even took a lot of Islam's energy. One of the most effective things you could ever do in MMA from a wrestling standpoint is scramble. Does not take the guy down. That's good too. But you get in some of those scrambles because that's a conditioning that you needed to spend the better part of your life to develop. And if you didn't, you will be done. You get in one scramble and you're not a lifelong wrestler, you will be done. Alex Pereira, just for example, has fought 8 times in that octagon, won himself 2 world championships, headlined damn near every event he's done except for the first 2, and he is not yet to be in a single scramble. And I'm only bringing that because when I assumed Tsarukyan was a wrestler would never turn Islam down. A wrestler would never say the words, 3 weeks isn't enough time. 3 weeks, my God. Could you get him here any sooner? Don't we have a show next Saturday? I gotta hold my weight down for 20 days? And the wrestler will take on 5 guys in 1 day. As a matter of fact, we have the Olympic trials in this country this week, the back end of this week. Hopefully, producer Ryan Parsons will let us get a little bit more into that. But those guys are the best of the best, and they will go through that tournament 1 day. 4 and 5 to make the team of the baddest dudes walking the planet. You take them on one right after the next. You won't even know who you've got until their previous match is done because it's a straight line bracket. I only take the time to tell you that whole story. I couldn't believe Tsarukyan turned him down. There is no such thing as not enough time when you're a wrestler. It just doesn't exist. It didn't exist for Tsarukyan the first time he took on Islam in a 5-round atmosphere. And this is a mental approach, guys. This is a mental approach, but for Tsarukyan to believe that he peaked and he had a match, and the second that match is done, and see, you either think this or you don't. See, a wrestler will get done with this match, he'll stay right here. If a wrestler needs to, if that was a semifinal situation, he'll believe he's come here. But a number of fighters, when they get inundated by the plague and the curse that is MMA, the fakest group of badasses walking the planet are MMA fighters. But it's mental. So Tsarukyan's math is, I peaked, I made weight, I fought. That's what he believes upstairs. Everything's going great. Hit the guy in the stands, cut my interview, do the whole thing. I got to get back in the gym. Got to take a couple of weeks off, then get in the gym and gain some weight, and then watch some tapes and have a strategy and go to something called a camp before I can get there again. Like, it's one of these things that most MMA guys have. Wrestlers just simply don't have it. Islam doesn't have it. Khabib doesn't have it. And I just assumed that Tsarukyan was a wrestler because he wrestled so well. I went and looked it up. Turned out he's a hockey player. He wrestled as a little boy and then stopped for a decade, went and played hockey. Somehow got back into MMA. This is at least according to Wikipedia. Do you guys know better? I mean, I find that kind of hard to believe. As great as he looked, but when you're turning down world championships, the whole week he came into this talking about this is the #1 contenders. I'm going right into it. I'm going to be ready right away. He's been calling. He knew what time it was. He's getting Islam to fire back. He's got Justin Gaethje co-signing the statement. Justin Gaethje, who was the only competition he was going to have, right? He was going to come out of the BMF match. And then Tsarukyan's match with Charles. That's it. They both get Islam. Both winners get Islam. But Gaethje, with his seniority and a title of BMF, is going to make you do it first. Everybody knew the deal. That was the score going in. He got offered. He said no. Poirier gets the phone call. Dana goes to the press conference. It becomes official. Now, I am letting you know, I'm not joking that he's getting a pass. And I'm not joking about Uncle Chael's arm of protection. I will be looking out for this guy. But I must tell you, as great as he looked, the only reason that I'm able to tell you how great he looked is because of how good Charles is. I just didn't know. Michael Bisping told me that Charles is the most exciting guy under contract. Daniel Cormier told me that Justin Gaethje is every fighter's favorite fighter except for the fighters that favor Charles Oliveira. What? I didn't know any of these things. And then I watched him, and Charles also has an attitude, guys. He has a winner's attitude. You should have seen him when he lost his fight. He lost his fight. Oh my, he was fit to be tied. If he would have been in the back and no one would have been around, he punched a hole through the wall and screamed and everything else. But people were around. You know what he did? Nothing. He shook his opponent's hand, and when he got out of that octagon, it was different. I was right there. When Charles got out of that octagon, he was not happy, but he didn't show it. He showed sportsmanship. Really incredible by Charles. More incredible by Tsarukyan. Very dangerous and meaningful #1 contender. Maybe. I mean, the way everybody's choosing to tell the story is that Dustin goes next, and then Tsarukyan gets his opportunity. But the history of the UFC says otherwise. And he'll be one of the options. But if Max digs in and doesn't go to 45, he's not going to be the first option. I like the match. I'm here to praise him. I love the competition. I love the heart. I love coming back at the end to win. I love mooning the crowd and taking your shorts off in front of the world before succumbing to a guillotine. And moving forward, Tsarukyan will have my protection.